Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving into the single most fundamental command you'll ever learn in Python. But here's the kicker. It's also the one that pros use every single day, no matter how advanced they get. Let's check it out.
So, what is this command that's so dang essential? I mean, it's the first thing you learn for a reason, right? But you'll find out it's also your most powerful sidekick for fixing even the most mind-bendingly complex code.
Yep, it's the humble print function. And hey, don't let that simple name fool you. This isn't just about spitting text onto a screen. Think of it more like it's your window, your peek behind the curtain to see what your code is actually doing.
But hold on, before we just start typing print all over the place, we gotta get our heads around what a function even is. This is the big idea that powers the whole thing. And trust me, it's a cornerstone of, all programming.
Okay, so think of a function like a specialized little machine. It's built to do one specific job and do it really well. You pop in some input, it does its thing, its process, and then it gives you back an output. That's it. Input, process, output. A coffee machine is the perfect real-world example, right? Your input, coffee beans and water. The machine does its process, it grinds, it brews. And here's the key. You don't need to know the guts of how it works. You just get your output, a great cup of coffee. The print function is exactly like that. You give it something to print, and it just handles the whole process of getting it on the screen for you.
All right, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty and see how this thing actually works. It is time to write our very first line of honest-to-goodness Python code.
And look at this. The syntax is super simple. You literally just type the word print and then a set of parentheses. Whatever text you want to show up goes inside those parentheses wrapped up in quotes. Python sees that, and boom, your message appears on the screen. Now, a quick but super important tip about those quotes. You can use single quotes or double quotes. Python doesn't care. The one rule, the only thing you got to remember is to be consistent. If you start with a double, you got to end with a double. If you mix them up, Python just throws its hands up and gives you what's called a syntax error, which is basically the computer's way of saying, whoa, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me, you've got a typo. Okay, now we're getting to the fun part. This is where the print function starts to show its real power. We can do way more than just print a boring old single line of text. We can use these special characters to take total control over how our output looks. These things are called escape sequences. And that name makes sense because when Python sees that backslash, it's like a signal. It tells Python to escape from its normal job of just printing the next character. Instead, it knows to treat it as a special command for formatting.
So let's just run through the most common ones you'll use all the time. ln, that's for a new line. It's just like hitting the Enter key on your keyboard. T is for a tab, perfect for making nice, clean, indented lists. And what if you actually need to put a quote inside your text? Well, you use \quote to tell Python, hey, this quote is part of the message. And finally, if you need to print an actual backslash, like in a file path, you just type two of them. Easy.
All right, time to put this to the test. Quick challenge for you. Look at this text on the screen. See how it's formatted? It's got a title, and then a new line, and then these nice indented bullet points.
So here's the challenge. How can you get that exact output using just one single print command? Think about how you'd combine those new line and tab characters we just talked about. Go ahead and pause here if you want to try and figure it out. And here's the answer. I know, it might look a little crazy at first glance, but if you break it down, it's just a combo of the simple tools we just learned. We start with the title, your learning path, then N to drop to a new line, then T to add that nice indent before the first bullet point. And we just repeat that pattern for the rest. See? This shows you just how much formatting control you can get from one single command.
So, why do we just spend all this time on one little command? Because, and this is the big takeaway, print is not just some beginner's toy. It's one of the most critical tools that professional developers rely on every single day.
You know, when your code gets really complicated, it can start to feel like a black box. You know what data you're putting in, you see what result comes out, but everything happening in the middle is a total mystery. Well, the print function is like your flashlight. It lets you crack open that black box and see exactly what's happening at every single step along the way. This right here is the classic debugging process. Picture this. Your code runs, no errors, but the final answer is just wrong. And you have no idea why. So what do? You sprinkle in some print statements at key points in your code to check on the values of your variables. Then you run it again, and you can literally watch the output, trace the logic step by step until, aha, you find the exact spot where things went sideways. It's like being a detective for your own code.
Okay, so let's just do a quick recap of why this one simple function is going to be your best friend for your entire programming journey.
The print function really boils down to three main jobs. First, and most obviously, it communicates with the outside world, showing messages and results to your users. Second, it can show you the progress of your program as it's chugging along. And finally, and I'd argue most importantly, it's your #1 go-to tool for debugging. It lets you peek under the hood and see the inner workings of your code.
And really, that's the whole story. You've now mastered your very first and maybe the most important Python command. It's a simple tool, for sure, but it is incredibly powerful. It gives you a window into your code, the power to see it think. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with it?